This is Judge Joe Brown. Maybe I'll tell you a whole lot of stuff you never knew. Watch the whole interview here on INeverKnewTV.com Premium.
You made some comments about black Hebrews, right? Could you delve deeper into that, please?
Look, one of the primary staples of propaganda is to get people to misidentify and identify with mythological entities. And I have nothing against Jews. Hell, one of my agents was a Jew. He was an interesting guy. He was part Puerto Rican and part Chinese and got adopted by a Jewish family. All right. He called himself a mutt. But black folk running around trying to claim they're the original Jews, it's like, why are you doing that? And what is your purpose? And my analysis is they want something to identify with. You remember some years ago when everybody had to have one of these Oakland Raiders starter jackets? I had a guy in my courtroom who had been stealing Oakland Raiders starter jackets. So I'm talking to him. He's trying to get probation. I said, well, who are the Raiders? I don't know. I said, well, what is that with the eye patch and the bones? Doesn't it have a football helmet on it? Yeah, is that what that is? Yeah, that's a football helmet. He didn't even know it was a football team. Where's Oakland? He didn't know where Oakland was. But he's identifying with that because he wants to belong. So there was this thing about 35 years ago when everybody wanted an Oakland Raiders starter jacket because you looked like you were part of some group, even if you didn't know it was a football team. Even if you did know it was a football team, you couldn't tell us who the quarterback was. Oakland Raiders, where did the Oakland Raiders play? I don't know. How about Oakland? They didn't know. But this urge to identify, it's like the Nazis did this too. Aryan supermen. Who are the Aryans? Aryans exist. Technically, they're called Indo-Aryans, I-N-D-O hyphen Aryan. You see them all the time. Kamala Harris was an Indo-Aryan. That's what most Hindu are, Aryans. They're from India. They did have something anciently to do with Germany, but they certainly weren't blonde-haired, blue-eyed. They were dark-skinned, swarthy, dark-haired, dark-eyed. But they came up with a mythological thing so people could identify with them. They moved their origin from the Indus River Valley, which is going into Asia, to the far north in the land of snow and ice. And the same thing's going on. I mean, if that's what you want to do, but don't look at it as all of a sudden now you have some pride. Because psychologically, what you're telling me is you're ashamed of what you really are, so you're trying to figure out something else you can identify with to escape the onus of being what you are. See, we had, I'm black and I'm proud. We worked hard at that because there had been so much in American culture to make black folk ashamed of what they were. We came up with the thing black. No colored, no Negro, you're black. Negro means black. So damn it, just accept it. You call white folk white, you can call black folk black, even if they don't look that way, even if white folk are kind of pink or brown, whatever it is. So we went that way, and then somebody came up with Afro-American, and then went back to Black American, and then we went to African-American, and then Jesse Jackson in the late 70s seized on that. He didn't invent it, but it is I'm black and I'm proud, and now you have people, instead of saying I'm black and I'm proud, Unga or black power, you get, I'm ashamed of what I am, I have to be something else. Like, come on, man, let's get back to the basics.
What's your thoughts on people? I've seen a drastic rise in this recently where people don't identify as Africans. They say they're indigenous to America.
I won't mention the fool's name, but he started something where he says alien ETs from outer space, landed on Earth 250,000 years ago, took black folk from southern Africa to Egypt and made the pyramids. They're not 250,000 years old, and they took black folk from Africa to the American continent, and from 250,000 years ago, the indigenous occupants of North America, the original Aborigines, were Africans. Okay, everybody came up out of Africa, but that's when we seem to have originated, and the migration seems to be about 95 to 100,000 years ago. But besides from that point, the story then goes that the whole thing about the slave ships is a lie because nobody could survive. They'd suffocate. Oh, yeah, really? Okay, there's no evidence. Okay, that's the other thing we need to get into. What is evidence? And I said, fool, I'm a master diver, certified, and I've been down on some wrecked slave ships, seen the manacles rusting away, and looked at them. So what do you suppose the purpose for these wrecks on the bottom of, well, not the bottom of the ocean, but 80, 90, 100 feet down in the Caribbean area are for? They're slave ships. So their theory was black folk settled here, so white folk, after they invented steamships, picked up some Indians from India and brought them over here to subdue the Africans that were in North America and turn them into slaves in the early 19th century. Forget all of that prehistory, that's supposed to be a lie. And then they run from that, and I'm going, man, where you been?